All right, go. Stats don't lie.
Stats don't
Stats
lie.
don't lie.
Stats don't lie.
Stats don't lie. Hey, T.
These guys are handsome.
Absolutely.
Jobber,
Hey,
welcome.
buddy. How are you?
Welcome to the Christmas
Happy
week
Christmas.
edition.
Yeah, so exciting. I mean,
It is
we're in
exciting.
championship week, my friend. You
It
and
is
me
champ-
both.
Yep. By design.
Exciting.
By design, we're both in the championship game. I'd like to trade spots, but it is what it is.
Listen, as you always like to say, you only have to win one game.
That's it.
And
There's
you're
going to
on
be,
pace for that, basically.
you know what? And I always say this too. There's only two happy coaches every year. The winner of the BAFL and the winner of the Pony Bowl. Everybody else is just who cares.
That's it.
Yep. I like
they
to
should care because we got a lot of exciting stuff happening on our podcast today, and they should care about that.
Yep. We have a very special guest coming in, one of the pioneers to the fantasy football domain. I mean, this guy is bigger than anybody, not bigger than Phil, but he's bigger than any other guest we've had on the show. Phil still is our best guest.
He's also in the finals.
He's also in the finals. And why is he in the finals? The curse.
Yeah, the first guest curse.
The first guest.
Now, is that like a seasonal thing? So whoever's our first guest next year is going to be doomed to a Pony Bowl appearance?
Yep.
Because that could hurt our pod quite a lot in 2021.
So back 33 years ago, do you think Bob was the guest on some show?
He did something bad, obviously.
Hey, let's jump into last week if we can.
Sure.
Ooh. All right, let's look at last week's results, the pick'em. So you and I have been doing the pick'em each week. First game. First off, is our guest in the waiting room yet?
I do not believe so.
Okay, so we got some time. So just let me know when he gets into the waiting room. So
Sure.
We do have our the playoffs from last week. The Ballbusters versus the Crime. Jason versus Tomas. Jason wins the game 38-24. He had some pretty lucky big scores there. And obviously, he's not in the finals. Who did you choose?
Didn't look like it was that close. Was it closer than the score would indicate? Because it looks like a pretty healthy win, which, by the way, I think I predicted. I believe I took Jason here.
Well, I took the Crime.
I always take the Ballbusters.
Yeah, you got a point there. Yeah, there was one way if I started Le'Veon Bell and if I started CeeDee Lamb. Yeah. If I would have put together the ultimate, I could have beat him, but at the same time, I never would have put that team together. So anyhow, yes, congratulations. I will finally concede that I lost that game to Jason. Next game, I took the Analyzers to beat the Stud Muffins. No, you took the Analyzers. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You took the Analyzers.
This was the game of the week. There's no question about it. The back and forth nature of this contest. Wow. These coaches should be proud, I got to say. But the Studs, come through with the victory in like the 11th hour, right?
It was. And I'd say this was probably close to being the game of the year other than the games that are coming up this weekend because it looked like Toby was completely out of it. Then it looked like Schmitty was completely out of it, right? And then Schmitty comes back with some late touchdowns, tight end from the Rams.
Higbee and McCole Hardman got him late touchdowns.
Exactly. And then Toby's gone, but no, he comes back with an extra touchdown pass. He had the extra touchdown pass, and then he had Kamara run one in, and Kamara should have been tackled at the 2-yard line, but he squeaked through. So impressive game.
Hey, let's get through these next two because our guest is in the waiting room.
Gotcha. So we got the Sharks. I took the Sharks. You took yourself the Gilas, and of course, you won that game.
Sharks didn't even show up there. It was sad.
Yeah. And then I took the Tikis, you took the Schaeferman, and of course I got the Tikis for the win. And what's that put us for our records for the year? Well, you were 2-2. I was 2-2. Yep, you're still leading the overall, and I think I kind of lose you now because you're 29-21. I'm 25-25. But let's get on.
Statistically, it's over. Stats don't lie.
Stats don't lie. Hey, should we bring our guest in?
Let's do it.
Ooh, hold on a second. I got to share that back. Let's bring him in.
He is.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Connecting to audio right now. There he is.
Let's see if we can get him in here. Ian, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Stats Don't Lie podcast. Everybody, this is Ian Allen, co-founder of the Fantasy Football Index, dating back to 1987. Ian, can you see our screen?
I can. You've taken over my monitor here.
Okay, well, that was last week's game. I want to bring you into the room for this week's head-to-head matchups.
This is pretty slick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, we will surprise you the entire. So, Ian, welcome our expert fantasy football guest, Ian Allen. There he is. There's his magazine. And look what we have for you. Yep. Jello creation.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you create that Jello creation?
Jello's kind of a hobby for me. That was Bob and Angela getting married at the ski place. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
you are the
and then, yeah, we threw together a little Jello. Now, what that's the before photo. I want to see the after, because Maddie was like, "Well, how come I'm not in there?" We had to do a little surgery and add her in. We had a little gal we added in there on the fly.
Well, that's the next show, Ian. This show we just wanted to start with the first creation. We'll add her in on the next show. But you are the co-founder, principal author, and editor of Fantasy Football Index magazine. You're a member of the Fantasy Sports Writers Association Hall of Fame. Attended Washington University of Washington.
Oh, come on, man! Fast forward. Let's get to the good stuff here.
I want to tell you.
Get this,
Ian.
right.
Ian, we've had some sloppy guests come on this show. You're our first real guest that I really want to promote here because we've had Phil Montalbano, Bob Easter, Jason Stanifer. We've got Ian Allen. You are a marathon runner. You're a swimmer, a custom Jello maker. You're a great husband. You got 2 sons. And then, of course, you're best friends with Bob Easter.
Hey, and T, I want to jump in here real quick. The other coaches involved in both the Bronco and Pony Bowls are in the waiting room. I think they just want to jump in and listen to what Ian has to say about the game. So we're going to admit Toby Richards of the Silverdale Stud Muffins, and then Phil Montalbano, our commissioner,
okay,
of the Napa Schaeferman. So welcome, coaches, and we're here with Ian Allen, and we're going to get started here on this week's games.
How's it going?
Ian, before we get started, we're going to show you this one clip from back in 1991 or 1990. Phil, when was this clip done?
Well, it was the 90 season, so that was the Super Bowl, 1990, end of year, Christmas time.
Impressive, Ian, isn't that?
This was back in the old days when you had to phone them in. And I remember you guys have a Bronco Bowl where somebody, there was a lineup and somebody thought they won. And then later it's like, oh, there's a phone message here and it's a different lineup. And those are good old days.
Oh, yeah, it definitely happened.
A lot of times what happened, Ian, is Phil's brother, Chris, got the last second change in that nobody else knew about, and then he ended up winning. So he won, back before computers, he won like 5 or 6 championships, and he hasn't really been seen in a championship game.
There's no proof of this. No, none whatsoever.
Well, it's Toby's league now. He crushed everybody this year, but in this wild touchdown-only game that we play, you got to close it out. You got to hope you don't, get cold here in the championship game. Gia Monsters, if they can get hot, maybe they can pull off an upset. We'll see how it goes.
Well, hey, Ian, you've already started ahead of us here. But before we even get to you analyzing the games, what are your thoughts about our scoring-only league?
Now, you don't realize this, you're actually tied to our league because you guys started about the same time we did. And I think that Phil was making most of the decisions, drawing this thing up, and I think they kind of used our league as a template. So you guys are a TD only with the 50-yard bonus. Kind of followed the model that we were doing. We started 2 years ahead of you guys. So you're kind of a sister league to ours. I always kind of had one eye on what you guys are doing on the BAFL. You got to have a good commissioner. You guys have that with Phil. He does a great job keeping records, and it's fun to look back. And I see the website now. You can look and see Toby is actually he can claim the moniker, the coach of the century, because he's outscored everybody in our.
I don't think the rest of the league considers that a honor.
It's all about championships, and several coaches have multiple championships. Toby's only got one. Phil only has one. I've got 3. Chob's got 4. And then we've got Chris Montalbano has 6. Another guy has 5. But here's the thing. There is one coach that doesn't have any championships in 33 years.
I think that what Bob has done is almost statistically impossible. I mean, if I told you to, play in a fantasy league for 33 years, you got to win 5 or 6 scoring titles, but not win the whole thing. Just to pull that off. Now, Toby's got something similar going now. He's the highest scoring team of the century, but hasn't been able to win one. So,
Ian,
how do you do that? I mean, I can understand if you're the guy who's terrible at fantasy football and you had a crappy team, then you didn't win one. But to have good teams and not win one is.
Ian,
I'm known as the Marv Levy of the BAFL.
Yeah. The Minnesota Vikings and Marv Levy combined. That would be the right way to consider this. So Ian, he's been to 17 BFL championship tournaments. This is 9th final. Toby is now 1-7 in finals.
Woo!
So, we will see where.
Ian, I'd like you to consider that as you look at our game. I mean, this kind of history has to have an effect, I would assume, on a coach and a team.
Only on
So
my
I really want to
psyche.
get into that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's drafting with the playoff games in mind. Do guys do that where it's like, hey, I'm not trying to win regular season, I'm trying to win the tournament, so let me look at who's playing who in week 15, week 16, because I got to win playoff games? Or do you just draft your guys and then when we get to December, you start looking at it, it's like, oh, wow, I wish I'd drafted Derrick Henry because he's playing against the Jaguars and he's going to have a big game.
No,
I tried to get
advanced
Derrick Henry
concept.
this year for that exact reason, and I was outbid by the Vegas Virgins. He's one of those coaches, Ian, I'm sure you got him in your league too. If he sees a coach, a sharp coach bidding on somebody, he's just going to try to bid him up and win. And this time he did. So hats off to Larry.
Ian, let's jump into the analysis of the first game, the Capistrano Crime versus the Los Angeles Schaefermen. And do you see the screen up there now with our team side by side?
Are you wearing the Los Angeles Schaeferman throwback uniforms this week, not the Quakertown?
I'm going with LA Schaeferman this year. This is
A good. Hey, Lakers won the NBA Finals. Dodgers won Major League Baseball, and maybe that's a good sign.
I hope so. Just to give you a little history with both our records in the Pony Bowl, Tomas has been to 14 tournaments, the most in the league. His record in the tournaments is 13-7. He's been to the finals 7 times, and he is 6-0 in the finals. This is the 7th time. So he's got
designed. That's brilliant.
in these ones. On my end, the Los Angeles side, this is my 10th tournament. I've been to the finals 9 times out of 10, and I've lost 5 times.
All right, give me too many numbers. Let me throw a number at you, and I want to report on this. I was looking over the standings, and the Capistrano Crime, I do like the branding. I like the name. He got it right. He was one of the original owners there, and he got a good name, and he stuck with it. So hats off to him. But his team this year has scored 103 fewer points than anyone else. I want to run down on, has anybody in the history of the BAFL finished with over 100 fewer points than any other team. He started off struggling. He was the first guy to lose double-digit games in a year, 3-11 in his first year. He's not really a fantasy football guy. I mean, that's been borne out over 33 years. But 100 fewer points than anybody else is hard to do. So get into your database, call up the numbers. Show me everybody who scored 50 or fewer points than everybody else in the league. And
There's only,
you say, Phil?
you know what though, Ian, keep in mind that and I tell this every year, there's only two happy coaches, the guy that wins the Bronco Bowl and the guy that wins the Pony Bowl. I have a system by design, systematic, sequential on how to win that final game. And that's all that really counts. Isn't that right?
yeah, it is about playoff games. I mean, personally, I sacrifice some points in some regular season games because I want to win that week. Nobody wants to pull a Toby Richards and be that guy who always stumbles right at the finish line. So I make an effort to draft some guys who are going to help me out in week 16. Don't want to be a Toby Richards guy.
Hey, Ian, I got a question for you here on this game. Looking at the crime lineup, the thing that jumped out to me is he's got Lev Bell on the bench. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about his lineup construction here?
Well, that's gamesmanship. He's not going to leave Le'Veon Bell on his bench. He's just got him sitting there. He's going to try and make Phil prepare for different offenses, and then he'll probably stick Bell in there at the last minute. Yeah, Bell is the best running back on his team. I'm sure he'll be out there on Saturday balling for him.
Actually, you know what, Ian? Can I ask a question then? So I will start Bell, but who am I going to sit? Am I going to sit Hines or David Johnson? Or who would you sit and put Bell in for?
Now, you guys change your rules and you can just put in anybody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no running backs or wide receivers anymore.
That's correct.
You got to have one wide receiver and you have to have one running back. Otherwise, it's open.
I would think that Smith-Schuster isn't playing. Hines isn't playing. Although it is kind of cool, you could start Hines at Hines Field. There's a certain coolness to that. But I would think that, Bell is certainly coming in. It's Hines or Smith-Schuster sitting down. I'd be sitting down Nyheim Hines.
Now, and then my last question on my lineup, if I've got is John Brown in there, is he going to be playing this week in Buffalo?
Probably. I have not looked at the injury situation. I thought he was going to play last week. He'll probably be activated, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't make your lineup. I mean, Antonio Brown would. He's not even the best Brown on your team.
Okay, looking at Phil, what do you think of Phil's lineup? Does he have anyone on his bench that you think should be playing this week?
Well, first of all, hats off to Phil. We're both commissioners, so we have that in common. And I see that even though he had a bad year, he's been working hard at it because all those guys, Tua, Gio Bernard, Kiki, QT. I mean, he's been working the waiver wire, flailing away, trying to avoid having the crappiest team. He hasn't just, certain guys, I don't know your league well enough to know, there's the guy when they lose, they just kind of fold up and they don't make any moves and they just put their lineup out there. Phil has clearly been working at it in vain, and his team's terrible, but at least he's trying.
Yeah.
So what's your prediction?
That's spot on. That's exactly what's happened, Ian.
Hey, I was the 5th scorer of the league this year. I just had bad luck.
Phil, that doesn't matter. So Ian, you're predicting who's going to win this game here between the Capistrano Crime and the Los Angeles Schaefermen?
The Schaefermen, inspired by their throwback LA Schaefermen uniforms, are going to add a 3rd title for Los Angeles.
Wow. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Well, thanks
I
for
agree
that
completely.
Let's bring up the game of the week, though. Let's bring up the Bronco Bowl championship game here between the Phoenix Gila Monsters and the Silverdale Stud Muffins. Looking at their rosters here, Ian, what jumps out at you?
Well, it's Toby's year and Toby's team, and he owns this league. But yet, somebody from the pack has to step up and get a shot at him. Chamberlain's in that role. He's playing with house money because, he doesn't have the best team. he doesn't need to be pissed off if his team loses. So he's going to be loose and playing with house money.
Yeah.
I like and if you're doing that, hey, why not play a guy who can hardly even play quarterback, but he's started 2 games, he's been hot. So yeah, we'll just throw him out there. Wasn't even on my team 3 weeks ago, but what the hell, we'll throw him out there. So I like that move. Now Swift, you can't play, so he's got to. And I assume DK Metcalf will be out there. I don't know what. That's like the Le'Veon Bell deal. Clearly, nobody started DeAndre Swift in front of DK Metcalf.
Hey, Ian, I'm a little worried about Metcalf. I'm a little worried about Metcalf's, matchup. That cornerback for the Rams has shut him down last time, and I'm worried that's going to be a low-scoring slugfest.
Okay, now that's a good point. Now the Seahawks were kind of pissed off that they did not throw to Metcalf in the first game. That was like one of the talking points. Was like, well, how the hell did we go through this game? And he got like 2 balls for 28 yards in the other one.
Yep.
So they were like, yeah, that was kind of dumb. We didn't throw to Metcalf. I think they will get. He's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. So unless you had killer guys to put in front of him, he's definitely playing. Now, the guy that I see in the lineup here that I like a lot is Leonard Fournette, who's a big fat tub of goo, and he's terrible. Like his last 10 games, he's averaged more than 3.5 yards a carry, like in one of them. But they're playing the Lions, and the Lions have allowed 24 rushing touchdowns. So when we want to, stick the knife in Toby Richards and have him fall short, just again, it's going to be this thing where how the hell did Leonard Fournette score 3 touchdowns in week 16 to stop my team, which was 10 times better than anybody else in the league? If I played this guy all year, I would have been 13-1 against him or whatever. But here he got hot and I came up short again. So yeah, I would say Leonard Fournette is a guy that I'm sure Toby is concerned about.
He should be.
We're getting prepared for him.
Taking a look now at Chubb's bench, though, you don't see him starting anybody else down there. Well, you just said Metcalf. That's a good pick, but everyone else can sit, huh?
Yeah, I think Swift goes. He's sitting down, and I'm putting in Metcalf. And actually, maybe a check on Ezekiel Elliott. Is he playing? And if Elliott's not playing, and maybe Tony Pollard gets plugged in there because he's been playing really well. But I think Elliott's going to play.
I think so.
Okay, take a look at Toby's team now. What do you see?
Well, yeah, I should be getting pointers from him. I've never had a 13-1 team ever. I've been playing for 35 years and usually like 4 or 5 teams a year, and I've never had a team like that. So he's got a great team. I think his tough decision is, do you sit down like the best kicker in the history of the BAFL? Because he's got kind of a crappy matchup. He does not play for a good team. So while he has scored all these points, it doesn't logically make sense that he should be scoring like that. So is there another kicker on the waiver wire would you do something crazy? Or do we just put him out there and fall short in the championship game like we always do? So Young Wei Koo to me is frustrating because so many times it doesn't make any sense to use him, but yet he just keeps coming up with these great games. And I have not checked the weather yet at Arrowhead. Is that a concern? Maybe you sit him down, but that might bite you. So what does he have? He's got his 2 great Minnesota receivers are on the road against a really good defense. That's not good. Don't like that. Tyreek Hill has a little hamstring issue. And Andy Reid has a long history of as soon as we got things clinched up, we start pulling guys. So I'm a little bit, I don't like how, I don't think Tyreek Hill in this game is as great as he has been. I'm not saying you're sitting any of these guys down. I just like, there is a path to victory for the Gila Monsters, and it's tough to keep these great teams afloat.
Well, the Gila Monsters do know how to win championships. As they've got 4 of them under their belt. And when they get there, I think, what are you 4 and how many losses have you had in the championship games now, Chubb? 4?
I don't recall any.
Yep.
Well, Phil says 4. I don't know.
You're 4-4, Chubb.
Hey, Ian, I think we've taken enough of your time. I'm going to stop sharing that.
I want to hang out, man.
Well, no, I do have a question for you though, Ian.
You're always welcome.
I was looking through some notes and talked to a couple coaches, and there was this 2-on-2 football game.
Ooh.
So I was going to bring that up. That's the last time I saw you in person, Phil. I think.
I think that was it.
And yeah, we went out there. Bob and I thought we were going to beat the Bono brothers, and yeah, it's like Phil getting his hands up, and it's hard to. He can create a pass rush, and then they had a time. And then Bob and I both were pretty good at touch football, but we don't have a quarterback. So it's kind of like we came up short. So we've been waiting for the Bono brothers to get older and out of shape. And can we get to the point where, Bob and I are both in just so much better shape that we can just, make it happen? Yeah, we got schooled pretty good on that day. That was 89.
Yeah, 89, yeah.
Years since I've seen you.
Brother Chris could probably run with you. He still runs marathons from time to time. I'm a weak link. But that would be, that'd be tough to beat you guys now.
They're probably applying some Vince Ferragamo, Ram plays or something against you.
Okay, I got one other thing for you that I want to ask about. Commissioner question. There's a division called the Cardwell Gardner.
Yeah, it's people mistake it for Carwell Gardner, but it really has no bearing on Carwell Gardner. This is just some random guy named Cardwell Gardner. So I don't know.
Carwell's reputation is still intact.
Yeah. Every year. So
he was one
I don't know if you know this, but every year we have a redrafting of the divisions. And so we have the winner of the BAFL, the winner of the S2, and I think the scoring champion get together and do a draft of all the teams to see who their division. So we reset the divisions every year, and then the leader of that division gets to name it.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. And so the divisions change every year on name? Okay.
And setting.
I kind of like the old days when they had a Pastorini division and a Brent Jones and a Nash and who's the others, like Kurt Rambis? Is he a Santa Clara guy?
Yep. Yeah, we had places like the Hut and the
Lord Johns.
Yeah. Sando King.
We might go back to that throwback maybe next year so let's say that we're having a draft right now, Ian, and you were first pick and you want to pick the 4 coaches for your division, like that you get to manhandle in your division. Who are the 4 coaches you think that you would pick for your division going forward for next year?
Well, the guy that I fear is Toby Richards. He's actually now, Bob Easter can't even be the best loser anymore because he's got the thing where he's 0 for 33, but now Toby can say, well, hey, I've got the highest scoring team over the last 20 years and I haven't won one. I've been more deserving than you over the last 20 years. So winning 1 in 33 years, it's been over 20 years for him. In 1998, I think was his last championship. So I think he's actually even a better loser than Bob right now. So he's got some pressure. I hope he pulls it off. We'll see how it goes.
Well, Ian, thank you so much for joining us, and you'll see.
Good luck, Toby.
Yeah, yep, and we'll see you.
And no good luck for you, Rob Chamberlain. You've won way more than you deserve already.
Ian,
thanks for having me, guys.
Last question, Ian. Ian,
that's hurtful.
Where are you in your league? Are you in the finals?
The 2 leagues that I won this year are 2 where there's no money involved. I do like six a year, and I got like 3 that's like $50 in there, and I'm not winning money in any of my pay leagues. But I've won a couple of these ones where they're just like best balls draft. Like Bob's going to win that PPR thing you did. He got a supplemental. I've won a couple of those, but I'm not winning any money this year. The boys are not getting good Christmas presents this year. Thanks for having me, man.
Take care, Ian. Good seeing you, bud.
See you, Phil.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen, let's move. Hey, let's finish off this podcast here because let's go here. Phil, thanks for pulling up that stat. And that letter that Toby wrote was pretty impressive, man. Toby had hindsight like nobody's business.
Wow, stunning.
That was 8 years before we went to the internet.
A brief moment of brilliance.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we did get one phone call this week. So, Toby and Phil, you just keep quiet now. We're going on with the show. You can watch from the waiting room.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So we did get a voicemail this week. We didn't get any text messages. We didn't get any emails, but this came in from one of our loyal listeners.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Love the SDL podcast and just had to call in. I don't want to give my name. I guess just call me BB Lover in Seattle. But I love fantasy football, especially the tight end position, black quarterbacks, and in particular, the San Francisco Ball Busters. So my main take today, and the reason why I'm calling, is I wanted to give a shout out to SDL for your willingness to step outside the lines. And when I say that, I mean to basically to cover important topics beyond football, right? I mean, it's, we all love football. Not suffice to say, but I love that you guys go hard in the area, particularly in terms of punctuation, grammar, and spelling, including, when you guys posted that correction to get the legendary Carwell Gardner's name corrected, where you put the D in before, but then you took it out. I mean, God, that was hard hitting. Also, I love your dedication to ensuring that quotation marks are placed in the proper position. You know how important that is, right? Which, by the way, is outside the period. Come on. Does it get any better than that, right? Talking about punctuation, grammar, and spelling. I love that, guys. Anyway, just wanted to say that. Keep up the great work, and I will keep watching.
Job, who do you think that was?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's hard to identify the voice.
Yeah, hey guys, love the SDL podcast.
You know who I think it was?
Hmm.
I think that was Betsy DeVos.
Sounded like very professorial, like a guy that maybe teaches English at a local Seattle university is what I'd guess.
No, we know who it was. That was Jason Stanifer, our very own Jason Stanifer. Anyhow, Jason, thanks for writing that in. And yes, we'll work on our grammar. And remember that English is a second language for me. So every once in a while, un momento, every once in a while, there's a Spanish word that goes in there. And I've got to translate everything you guys say.
Stats don't lie.
Stats don't lie. All right. Hey, we're almost wrapping up. So we got merchandise is still available. And if our viewers order today, they will get delivery before Christmas. I promise you. Just you can
we also for that coach that just wasn't thinking and wants a last second gift, we do have gift cards as well that are available, and we can just email those out. So
yep, you can call in your credit card. We have the teddies that are going, and then everybody's favorite. Look at these mugs. They are soft, they're supple, and they are only $10 a pair. And boy, delicious. Yeah, they're selling off the shelves. And then the last thing we want to do is wish. Oh, what happened, Chobber?
I don't know. It disappeared.
What happened to our? Oh, shoot.
Well,
Microsoft.
We could just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I hate to do this, but let me find this real quick here.
Hey, while you do that, Tomas, can I just let you know that I did get a last minute delivery from Stats Don't Lie. I don't know what it is, but this is a very exciting gift. I just wanted to open it up.
It might be coffee mugs, Phil. It might be coffee mugs.
Did you get coffee mugs, Phil?
Whoa!
Finally, got here.
Looking good.
Wow.
Is that an XL, Phil? Is that an XL? Be careful. You got to wash that in cold, Phil, because if that's a large, you're going to be busting out of that thing. You're going to be busting out of that. Believe me. Be careful.
Okay.
That is Phil. I'm glad to see that you got your shirt. There you go, everyone.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. This was our group from last year in front of the Stonehouse Cafe. Yeah.
Not pictured Tomas Navarro.
Well, someone had to take the picture. So good luck, Toby, with your challenge, your 66-day challenge that you're doing with your family today, 100 miles on the Peloton.
That's right.
Yep. And guys,
Hey, are we going to go to the Stonehouse Cafe for the Champions Breakfast this coming year? Or are we going back to Peg's?
I'd be happy to take you there.
Oh,
Oh,
know what?
listen, when I win, we're going
I'm
back.
rooting for you, Toby. I'm rooting for you.
I don't want alcohol as part of this whole budgetary situation, so we're good old Pegs.
Hey, Toby,
Large orange juice for everybody.
Pegs is half the cost of this place. It's expensive.
Exactly.
It really is.
He's been saving up for 20 years.
Yeah.
And Toby, again, one last thank you for being our executive producer. You are the man behind the curtain. You are the one that gets all of our designs and our humor and whatever it is you do back there, Toby. We appreciate you. We really
And you
do.
got our
Appreciate
thanks,
it. Merry
special
Christmas.
special thanks, Toad, for the help with the Microsoft issue.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Come on, guys, sing it. Sing it.
Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Sing it. Sing it.
Hi.
All right, coaches. Good luck, Toby.
Yeah, you too, Chop. See ya.
Adios.
Merry Christmas.